I think we should normalize not trying to figure out why people do things and instead just accepting that behavior and deciding whether or not we're going to accept it in our lives. I think it's crazy that, especially in toxic relationships, people always want to figure out what's going on with the other person. Like, why are they being so distant? And why don't they love me as much as I love them? And, maybe they're hurt from their past relationship, and maybe they experienced heartbreak and they're afraid to open up, and maybe I can save them and help them. And we always try to figure out their past and try to account it for why they are the way that they are right now, when in reality, there has to come a point where they take accountability for their actions. And if they're not taking accountability and they're purposely dodging conversations with you about why they're acting the way that they are, then maybe they aren't the right person for you. Because communication is one of the #1 things in order for a relationship to be successful or unsuccessful. And then you have to ask yourself, do you even want that person in your life? Are you afraid to vocalize your needs in a relationship? Are you afraid to have those difficult conversations when things come up that bother you? What stops you from having that conversation? Worst case scenario, they leave you, right? Worst case scenario, you break up, and you don't want that because it may trigger an abandonment wound in you too if you have issues with that. But when we start looking at it from a different perspective and we think, if they want to leave, let them leave. If they want to leave us because of a bare minimum request for a relationship, then let them leave. They can't offer us the happiness that we want in the relationship anyway. And you hold on to this idea that you have this history with them, you have this love with them. There's so much still there that you just have to keep pushing and keep fighting. But how many times are you going to have that same conversation with yourself? How many times are you going to sit in unhappiness before you realize they can't give it to you? They can't give you what you want or what you need, so why are you still there? What's the worst thing your narcissist ever did to you? And be honest. Get as brutal as possible. Share your story, because you'll start realizing how many other people have experienced the same thing. And we call it coincidence. We say, wow, you must have experienced the same thing that I did, but it's not, because it's strategical, it's tactical. Narcissists don't just act on a whim. They have it pre-planned in order to better control you. Everything that they think of to do to you, they've thought about in their head a million times. And when they start seeing results, they'll start targeting those weaknesses within you in order to better break you down. They'll strategically plan it so that they can better take advantage of you, have to use little to none of the manipulation because they broke down your worth so much to the point where you'd believe anything that they said. Share your story. Don't hide behind it. Don't let these people do something to you that you have to live with the rest of your life. What is it that you hate about them? Is it the fact that they hurt you? Is it the way that they made you feel in the relationship? Or is it the fact that they stirred up a love within you without ever having the intention of returning that love? Is it the fact that they stripped you of your safety, that they made you isolate yourself from your friends and your family in order to better control you? Is it the fact that you believe that their manipulation was actually masked as real love in that relationship? Is it the fact that they made you question everything about what you wanted and what you needed because they started twisting reality to make it seem like they had all the answers and that you were the one messed up, you were the one who needed help, not them? That there was so much that needed to be fixed about you, and there was nothing that they could ever do wrong? Was it this toxic love that you were holding on to that made you hate them? And why do you continuously think about them? Why do you ruminate on the relationship? It's because we're stuck in a toxic cycle. I know why you won't let go. I know it's because you want to give the love to other people that you're afraid you won't find yourself. So you overly give love. You overly stay. You stay longer than you should. You don't want them to feel abandonment like you have. You don't want them to feel disappointment like you have. You're afraid that that real fairy tale love isn't out there, and so you try to create it yourself. And you try to create it with the wrong people who don't even know how to accept it, who don't even know what love truly is. So when you come in and you present genuine love to them, they can't even see it because they don't even know what it looks like. And that's not your job, to try to fix someone's pain in between you trying to experience love. Love shouldn't come from suffering. They are suffering in their own trauma, and they have to heal that on their own. You can't step in and save them. You'll end up drowning yourself. Don't ever shrink yourself to fit in someone else's box. Don't ever minimize what you want to meet someone else's needs and blueprint in life. You don't have to force things when they're meant for your life. You don't have to give up the things that make your heart feel full, feel love, and just feel happiness. You don't have to choose something different just to meet someone else in the ground that they want to be in. That's not your person. Just by the fact that you want different things out of life should be indicator enough that you should choose different, that maybe they're just not meant for your journey. And that's okay, because there is someone out there who wants what you want. You just haven't found them yet. And you don't have to convince someone else to love you. When love is true and reciprocal and pure, it feels good, and there is no feeling bad or heartbreak. Are you frustrated with the way that things turned out? Are you constantly asking someone out there who wants to love you? Let them go so they can. What happens when you let go? What happens when you actually find that person that's meant to be in your life? When you have to actually allow them to love you instead of just giving love all the time? Maybe the reason why you enjoy your situation is because you are the giver of love, always, and you enjoy giving love, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to start asking yourself if maybe you're afraid of actually receiving it. And the person that you're with right now, or the person that you can't seem to let go of, doesn't know how to love you. They don't know how to give you love, so it's safe for you because you never have to actually be loved and seen by them. They won't ever do it for you, and you know that. So you don't ever have to be completely vulnerable with them. You already know what you're going to receive. It's predictable. It's expected. But when you open yourself up to someone new, you have to open up new vulnerabilities, and they may see you for who you truly are. You don't have to be afraid to be seen. I promise you there's so much to love about you. Just allow someone to see it. Do you believe that you need physical scars in order to justify having been abused? Emotional abuse is invisible to everyone besides the person receiving it. And you may not even be cognizant of the fact that you received it because this person has manipulated you and deceived you so much to the point where you can't even see reality clearly. They used your insecurities against you in order to break down your walls. And as soon as they infiltrated those walls, they started setting up little trust points where you felt like you couldn't trust your own feelings and that you had to turn to them for the answers. They made you feel like you approaching them about situations that they had caused was the issue, that you're being crazy, being insecure, being sensitive, being too much, that was the issue, not them. They started making you frustrated and create reactive abuse because you were trying so hard to hold on to reality, and they stripped that from you. Don't downgrade, don't downplay what you experienced. I promise you it's okay, you can get through this. Are you waiting for closure in order to move on? Now let's backtrack and think about this for a second. In order for them to give you closure, they'd have to take accountability and responsibility for the ways in which they hurt you. And now let's go further with it, and let's also recognize the fact that them saying sorry to you doesn't change the fact that they hurt you and the way that you feel right now. That pain will still exist even past the words that they say. It doesn't change anything that's happened. What it would do is potentially make you feel even more frustrated because it's not a solution to the pain that you're feeling right now. It's not going to take that away. Nothing can take that away. The only thing you can do is grow through it. You have to walk through that pain. You know, when we put the power of closure in someone else's hands, we then claim that we're not powerful enough to resolve things on our own. Claim that worth, claim that power. You don't need them in order to move on.